Let's get this over with. I will forever love Spellbreak, its developers, and the community that I've spent more than 3 years of my life participating in.
This game gave me everything. Got me out of a tough time mentally, physically as well. I just had a knee accident that I thought I wouldn't be able to walk for a really long time. This game gave me friends, a community, a thing to do.
Nonetheless, I'm still grateful because I met a lot of wonderful people along the way, and I have memories that will last a long time.
Some of the best moments of my life can be directly attributed to Spellbreak, so I just want to say thank you to everybody who worked on it and everybody who's been within the community and everybody who's just been along for the ride. Thank you. It's been amazing.
Every once in a while, there comes a game that spawns from the same nest of a genre that is currently taking the world by storm. A game where its concept is so unique and flavorful we barely even got to scratch the surface of it. A game where we use magical elements to turn the tide of a match and experience a battle royale like no other. The game I'm referring to, of course, is
Spellbreak.
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 First, I'd like to address the elephant in the room. I'm fully aware that I'm very late to this subject. I've tweeted about working on this video again and again and again and again. There was always something that got in the way of me getting this done. I would either procrastinate or find some other video game to distract me. Most noticeably is Overwatch 2, which has just been absolutely consuming my time, energy, and my sanity if we're being honest here.
Guys, honestly, I'm so sick of this Orisa.
There's a bit
Oh shit!
behind it!
No, I can't get out! I can't get out! I can't get out! I can't get out! Oh shit! Oh, she's gonna kill me.
However, there was a time way back before its sequel when Overwatch got so repetitive and boring. I was in dire need of something different. I really wasn't opposed to playing battle royales, but there was something about the big three. The big three being Fortnite, Apex, and PUBG. That just never really reeled me in. Something that Spellbreak had that they didn't, and that was the fantasy setting. I love fantasy style media. If you go on my channel, you will see that I've talked about shows such as The Dragon Prince, Dota Dragon's Blood, and trust me, there will be a lot more, but my point is, I love that genre. And applying that to a BR game, which was the talk of the town at the time, was what sold me on Spellbreak. Battle royales are typically priceless, free, no strings attached, everyone's welcome. All types of players were flocking over to Spellbreak like it was the next best thing. From regular players to YouTubers, streamers, and hey, look at that, even VTubers.
Oh, Kiku! Kiku! Oh my gosh, it comes there!
This all meant one thing. Spellbreak was finally getting the exposure it needed. Proletariat Inc had something really special here. A BR game that wasn't your typical run around, build and shoot everything that moves sort of game, but something that could immerse you into that world, something that stood out as its own unique thing. Given it some more time, Spellbreak would have made a name for itself. It was practically brimming with potential. Anyone with over 4 to 5 hours of gameplay could see that. All that was left was to apply said potential into the game, and fast, because interest in Spellbreak was dying. But there was still time. At least, that's what I believed. Looking back, there was this game that I adored called Gigantic. It was this 5v5 multiplayer game where you fight other players and take down their guardian. It was so much fun, and it really helped me get through a tough breakup back in 2017. The player base was dwindling, but I still carried on playing. July 31st, the game shut down. And from then on, I vowed to never grow attached to a game that was in the same sort of situation like Gigantic's. I truly hoped the same fate wouldn't come for Spellbreak. But we all know how that turned out. The concept of Spellbreak was a 1 in a million, and I truly believe that nothing can come close to it. Honestly, that's one of the things that stand out about this specific Battle Royale. The concept. And what a fun and exciting concept it is, traversing in this ravaged fantasy world filled with elemental magic, where you assume the role of a breaker. As a breaker, you are able to select multiple classes and wield elemental gauntlets. These classes consist of Pyromancer, which controls the element of fire. Stone Shaper, pretty much on the nose, you can control the earth. With the Toxologist, you can spray acid. As a conduit, you can control and shoot lightning. Frostborns are basically Frozone but with a sniper. And finally, there's Tempest, and with that, you can control the wind. Any questions? None? Great, fantastic, let's continue. Every game always starts off with a rough, early draft, and Spellbreak was no exception. Pretty much every game in development has done this. They start from the ground up with patches, reworks, and so on. I found it really interesting seeing what some of my favorite gauntlets and abilities used to look like and how they used to work. And it just makes me appreciate how much the dev team has worked and improved on them. Along with this captivating gameplay come the opportunity for the people over at Proletariat to start hiring some animators. Out of all the videos I've seen from people addressing the end of Spellbreak, no one has mentioned or given credit to how freaking good these CG cutscenes looked. Like, not only does this give us a story tease for what's to come, but it also expands on the world of Spellbreak, with the introduction of some new faces and the mysterious lore that lies dormant. I was so looking forward to seeing all of this unfold in the coming years Spellbreak had ahead of itself. There was something so fascinating about this game that made me want to log in for weekly quests and for things like the chapters. Oh, the chapters. Some being a little better than others, but I really liked what they were doing there. The chapters worked a little like the typical battle passes, but they would reveal and introduce bits and pieces about the story. Chapter 1 highlighted the Spellstorm, Chapter 2 was about the Fracture, and the latest and final chapter was on the Wardens. All very fantastic and interesting concepts that really added depth to the game, but it just makes me kind of sad thinking we will never get to see what a potential Chapter 4 could look like. But there really isn't much we can do about that now. So if it wasn't already obvious, playing Spellbreak for its short lifespan was such a blast. I even went through the effort of really immersing myself into the game by playing it on every platform. I'm talking Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, even my PC. Well, just barely. But my experience with Spellbreak has been mostly a positive one, even when the game started to slowly die. I still remember playing it like it was yesterday. There were the somewhat normal, arguably good times when you'd have to wait around 7 minutes to get into a game. Love that. Squad mode was my favorite to play because I love working as a team and the play interaction can be quite wholesome and motivating. Plus, if you really worked well with your teammates, like the teamwork, coordination and chemistry are all there and ticked off, you may even get to make a new friend. Those were the good times. Then things got, let's say, stale. It all kind of went downhill from that point. Every time I get on, literally none of my friends were online, and it stayed that way for months, right up until Spellbreak's eventual demise. Those 7 minutes? Yeah, try 12 minutes. Bots were practically everywhere. Spellbreak adding bots to the game was probably one of the best and worst things they could have done, because while it's fun to fight bots at first, it grew tedious and boring. Nearly beating them in a 1v1 sort of takes you out of the immersion knowing that it's just a computer and not a real player. It got so boring to the point where I would just sit back and watch the bots fight each other. Solo games were no better. You'd have that one-off player every now and again, but 8 times out of 10 you're most likely to win a game and the payoff is just so lackluster.
Congratulations, Breaker. A well-earned victory.
Sure, whatever. Just give me my XP or something, I don't know anymore.
Time to move. The Spellstorm's closing.
Wait, what?
I mean, you get some XP, maybe a laughable amount of gold currency, but that was pretty much it. The game got to a standstill point where there was no sense of reward, no updates, no reworks, no new gauntlets, nothing. As much as I hate to admit it, it felt like my passion, my motivation had just been snuffed out. And then, the unexpected happened. January 10th, I logged in for one final round of Spellbreak. Not expecting much, since the Spellbreak community already said their goodbyes, and to my surprise, there were actually players. Real players, and friendly ones at that. I was completely lost for words to see so many people back on the game again. I had every intention that day to simply log in, kill some bots, and call it a day. But no. I stayed on for as long as I could, not killing and trying to get eliminations for pointless rewards, but merely interacting with others. Something that I haven't done in this game for months. Honestly, I still remember being back at 𝗧𝗪𝗧𝗧𝗘𝗥 and seeing players flying around. I was just so moved by it. Seeing all these gamers return to this game that was on its last legs, just one last time. Words could not describe how happy I was seeing that. Spellbreak was ambitious, one would argue a little too ambitious. They had a lot of great ideas and a lot of potential to tell a really good story with said ideas, and as some of you may already know, things went wrong. But I'm not here to talk about where it went wrong. Potential was one of the biggest things Spellbreak had going for it. Gameplay was a huge part of that potential. The game clearly needed more time to keep players engaged, and it is truly a shame that Proletariat failed to deliver. Personally, what I would like to have seen more of was of course new gauntlets, better game mechanics, but also some new locations. I found all sorts of artwork for Spellbreak, and their original ideas for certain areas of the map were looking really cool. I would have loved to see some of this fantastic artwork come to life in the game. Secondly, on the Spellbreak YouTube channel, they had some animated trailers which looked absolutely brilliant. It made me wonder what more could they have done with that side of the game's promotion. As I mentioned before, they were really onto something with these cinematic trailers and animated shorts. I just hoped that more of that could have been shown while Spellbreak was still alive and well. I've seen several content creators express their thoughts and feelings on Spellbreak's end, and how this game could have been better. I think at the end of the day, the people who had it worse were the ones who begged for changes, the ones who begged to be heard because of how much they cared for the game. While their cries did end up falling on deaf ears, that didn't stop this amazing community from making the best out of what they had, and that in itself is truly inspirational. My final moments on Spellbreak were more impactful than I realized. It even got me doing fan art, something I never saw myself doing after so many years, and it even inspired me to create a Twitch channel that went absolutely nowhere. Just seeing gameplay on YouTube and looking back at my old clips has got me missing this game more and more. It also made me reminisce back to when Gigantic shut down. At the time, it hadn't really sunk in yet, but it didn't take long for it to eventually. I've made my peace with the game's demise, and I've moved on to bigger and better things, and so have so many other players and content creators. That doesn't mean that it hurts any less. A game with so much creative potential was killed before we even got to see it at its best. But I've made my peace with that now, and that's what matters. That's basically what this entire video was all about. Before I close things off, I'd like to address that Spellbreak is still technically playable, but only for PC players. There's a community version of the game where everything's unlocked and you can host your own game servers for both online and offline. And that's great. I'm happy for the people who are currently working on this version of the game to make it their ideal Spellbreak. But as for me, I think I'm good. My journey with Spellbreak ended over a month ago. So if you've got a much better PC than mine that can run games well, I encourage you to try it out. I'll leave a link. But as for now, I think I'm ready to let go. Hey, it's me again. Thanks so much for watching. Really sorry I've been gone for 2 months since my last video. This video has been in the works for almost a year now. I know, right? That's a long time. I'm steadily easing my way back into making content again, so yeah, just bear with me in the future. That's all I can ask. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. If you're interested in playing Spellbreak, I left the link in the description so you can download the community version. What else? Follow me on Twitter if you want. you can subscribe and leave a like. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.